Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 10 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and serve as the Future Ready Librarians Leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Well, everybody, as we are on our last podcast episode of season 10, I couldn't be more excited, and I have been actually waiting to have Amy on this whole season because we get to talk about something that's actually new to our podcast series, and that is graphic novels. But the really interesting kind of thing that Amy's going to talk about today is that she went to Comic-Con International in San Diego. And when I always ask my guests, like, what is something that you're passionate about and that you want to talk about? And the topic today is going to be graphic novels, your secret weapon for teaching social justice, which I think is going to be such a great conversation and so inspiring to me and also to our listeners. So thanks, Amy, for being on today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I'm excited. So let's just start by having you introduce yourself and tell us what you do for your job.
I'm Amy Brownlee. I am a pre-K through 12th grade librarian in a small rural district in central Kansas. So I have two buildings and I go back and forth. Luckily, they're only about 5 blocks apart, so my commute is easy.
You walk in the nice weather? Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. My sister, we're in Iowa, so another small, like rural kind of setting that we live in. And Heather is in 2 libraries, but she has to drive. They're about probably 10 miles apart, but we know that very well here in Iowa too, how sometimes we have to serve. And it says you're also a 5th and 6th grade reading teacher.
Yes, so I do that for an hour a day.
Very cool. Oh, I love that. Well, I can see now even more like not just being, the librarian and encouraging all these kids and really instilling that love for graphic novels, but I bet you get to use a lot of this with your 5th and 6th graders too. Huh? Yeah, that's
Yes, it's
awesome.
it's fun to have that group to implement more detailed lessons and those kinds of things.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, first, let's just start by talking about your experience at the Summer Institute, because I can't even wait to hear about this. I think it's just fascinating.
Last spring, I found out about the National Endowment for the Humanities Summer Institutes for Teachers. So they have a whole website where there are different opportunities that you can apply for. So I was looking through and one caught my eye, and it was on using comics to teach social justice. I thought, that sounds really interesting. And it was sponsored by San Diego State University's Center for Comic Studies. And it was a 2-week experience. And the last 4 days, the participants get to attend Comic-Con International, which is the largest comic book and pop culture festival in the world. So I thought, I'm going to apply. What can I lose? There's nothing to lose here. So I applied, and I think it was in April, I found out that I had been selected. So they selected 25 teachers from around the country. So there were some elementary classroom teachers, 3 of us were librarians, and then middle school and high school ELA and history teachers. So we all met together in San Diego. We stayed in the dorms at SDSU. So it felt kind of like being back at college a little bit. There was a kitchen and laundry, and we're sharing meals and does anyone have detergent? I ran out of detergent. And so besides just the really fun time that we had in class, we really built a lot of relationships. Our classes were usually over by around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And so then in the afternoons and evenings, then we could go and explore San Diego. And one weekend we had a day and a half for that was free without any other responsibilities, so we could kind of do whatever we wanted. So it was really fun because there was the awesome learning, but of course the weather in San Diego, you can't beat it. And going to the beach, all kinds of really fun things. So it was just so energizing and relaxing, but energizing, and just all the good things together. So as part of this institute, we had lectures from different professors that teach at San Diego State. And it was really interesting how many of them incorporate graphic novels into their teaching at the collegiate level, no matter what their department. So that was really interesting and amazing. We did field trips. We went to Little Fish Comic Book Studio, which does art lessons for kids in the community on comics, drawing and creation and those kinds of things. And we had time to a kind of a lesson planning lab where we could collaborate and work together, because our goal was to go home with lessons that we would implement in our own schools. So we could work together, and a librarian at San Diego State was one of our project leaders, Pamela Jackson, and she did an amazing job of curating, I don't know, dozens of graphic novels that were there in the room. We could pick them up, we could use them, we could take them with us to borrow to read in our dorm rooms. So I was a kid in a candy store. It was just a really great and amazing experience.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, and graphic novels are just, I just love, like, not only for our elementary kids, but I love that they use them too, like even at the collegiate level, because that is just, they're powerful, right? And I think there's so many amazing stories, and every day you see more and more stories, that are told through a graphic novel. And so I think that is just such a cool experience. And so as you learned and you like listen not only as a librarian, but also as a teacher, what were those top takeaways like that of using comics to teach social justice?
Well, of course, I got exposure to a lot of new graphic novels. There were, we have, I would say, a pretty good starting collection. So of course, I came away with lots of collection development ideas. I had a really big wish list. And so I knew going into this summer that I would want to earmark a big chunk of my budget this year, that I was really going to strengthen our graphic novel and comics collection K-12
Yeah.
across the board. So, and it was wonderful because I could see those books hands-on, and I could hear how other professors and other teachers were using those books. So that was really beneficial. We also got kind of a primer on how comics have evolved over time, kind of how they started out. And I feel like that we're kind of in a golden age publishing boom of graphic novels for young people. It used to be just kind of the superheroes and those kinds of things are what you would think of for comic books, but now they are on every topic that you can imagine. The social justice topics that we were really focusing on, and this is how Pamela Jackson organized the graphic novels for us in the room, was kind of by these broad categories: racism and oppression, women's rights, immigration and displaced people, neurodivergence, disability, mental health, civics and voting, identity and belonging.
Oh,
So
nice.
those were kind of the big ideas that we were exploring there together.
That's awesome. I mean, things that I was just looking through my new school library journal actually today, and have had a few requests recently from kids and from teachers around those topics. And I think that graphic novels are such a great way to be able to explore and also for kids to see themselves and others, like just such a special way for that to happen. I know I want to see your list that you have because I'm sure really great. You have to send it to me because I would love to see that. And so I'm sure that your school too was like supportive of you, like putting more money also into, having that, like what a great experience and having that like expertise now to be able to really strengthen your graphic novel sections in your schools.
Definitely. So I made sure to include a graphic novel in my fifth and sixth grade reading group, but then I also took the opportunity to do some book clubs and some kind of for fun programming type of things all year long, focused on graphic novels.
Oh, that's cool. Have you already done the graphic novel with your fifth and sixth graders?
We read When Stars Are Scattered.
Oh,
You-
yes. Yes. I
It
love
is
that.
it is so good and the kids loved it. And the author's website has a lot of really amazing resources that go with it. It's about two African kids who are in a refugee camp in Kenya, and it's a true story. And so then at the back of the book, it has the photographs of the two brothers and tells you what has happened to them since then. And there's a great video. So the refugee camp that they were in Kenya is a real place. And so I was able to show kids a video of that place. And then I paired it with a novel in verse by Catherine Applegate that's called Home of the Brave. And it is about a refugee child from Africa who comes to America. So this was fictional, but we talked about, we could imagine these are the kinds of feelings that our characters from the graphic novel, these are their feelings and their experiences, probably something similar to what was happening in this fictional story. So that was a fun way to pair the graphic novel with the novel in verse, which of course are two formats that kids really love and enjoy.
Yeah, they sure do. And it's fun to teach those too and to have those. I bet that every single student loved that book and loved reading those books
They
because
did. When we finish, I always say, okay, with your fingers, rate the book for me. 10 is the best and 1 is the worst, and then tell me why. So it definitely got really high marks.
oh, I love it. We always read El Defo with our fourth graders. And it was probably one of the first graphic novels that we used for kind of like a book study or book group. And all the kids. I remember one time we had a Zoom, well, it was probably Skype at the time with CC Bell, and I
Ooh.
remember one of our little like fellas got up and he just started crying because he was so happy that those stories, and especially when they're like a true story, I think in a graphic novel, they're so powerful and just so important and special. I'm definitely drawn to them. You have to tell me what is your favorite one right now, your favorite graphic novel, newer one. Do you have one?
Mm. There is one that's by George Takei. Okay, the name of it is escaping me, but it's his true story of it being in a Japanese internment camp. When I was in San Diego, this was not related to the Institute, but he was in San Diego and he was giving a talk, and some friends and I went to that on one of the evenings. So that was really
Cool.
cool.
That's awesome. I saw him speak at a school library journal summit. It's been now several years ago, and I think he wrote a book first. Was it graphic novel first or another book? But now I'm pretty sure, I think it was the graphic novel that there's going to be a picture book of
Mm,
the story too.
I
And
did see that.
yeah, so that's so cool. I love that. Well, I'm sure that this whole experience like really impacted you as an educator and as a librarian. I can't I think it'd be so cool. You're probably like came back with all these, amazing ideas, not just for your school, but even just inside of you as a reader and an educator too.
Yes, definitely.
And so are you looking for another one to do? Another like institute or something else?
Yes. Um, through this institute, somehow I got connected with a Facebook group that's all about summer opportunities for teachers. So I applied for one that takes teachers to Germany on a transatlantic study trip. And I just found out that I got it. So I'm
Oh,
going to Germany this summer.
that's so cool. How long will you go then?
So the study trip is 10 days. And it's fully funded. So it pays your airfare, your hotel, your meals,
Oh, it's
going
awesome.
to museums, all of that. But they offer, if you would like to stay and do personal travel, you can stay up to 2 weeks later and they will schedule your return flight. So my husband's going to come and join me.
Oh,
We're going to spend 2 more weeks.
that's awesome. You'll love Germany. Have you been?
I haven't been to Germany, so I'm very excited.
Oh, cool. Well, and I have talked to people before that have done these like in Washington, D.C. and other places, and the opportunities for educators is really just amazing, like when we're looking for these ideas. So we'll have to make sure that in the notes that we make sure that we share that, where people can find that. And also tell everybody where they can find you online too.
Yes. So I am on Blue Sky and Instagram at Amy Brownlee 93. And then I have a blog, Biblio Brownlee. Do you like my cutesy librarian name?
Love it.
bibliobrownlee.weebly.com is my blog. And I recently published an article with Edutopia on their website that is about travel and learn PD for teachers. So I can send you that link.
Oh, yes, that would be so great. I
And
love that.
I've put in a proposal to present on this topic at AASL National Conference in the fall. So we'll see if it gets accepted, but possibly I might be able to, if I
Yay.
get accepted, I could share about that at the national conference.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's so inspiring. And I am so grateful that you were on the podcast and shared your story and, not only what we learned today about graphic novels, but also all the amazing experiences. You'll have to be on next fall again and talk about going to Germany and what
I
you
would
learned.
love to.
Love that. Oh, well, thank you so much, Amy, and have a great rest of your school year too.
Thanks. You too.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian Podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives, and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help and support each and every one of you. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.